Right, hello and welcome to another episode of the Obstacle Race Magazine podcast. We are now on, what episode are we on, Kev?
24.
We are! Fantastic, 24.
And we've got homework.
Yeah, and we've got a special guest this evening. It is the one and only James Parrish from Nuclear Racers. Now, we've been quite excited about this one. We're not going to press him too hard. I know he's a little bit worried about questions that are going to come from us and what have you, but Nuclear Racers, in terms of what you built up, it's probably one of the it's definitely one of the biggest race organisations in the UK.
Part of the OCR royalty, really, in the UK.
It is.
Parrish. He's blushing.
I'm not that old. Haven't been around that long.
And so for the few people who may not know about Nuclear Racers, it's based in... Are you all right with saying it's Essex?
Very happy with Essex, the most dynamic county in the country by far.
But a bit more, sort of pin it down a little bit more, it's sort of Brentwood, in Chelmsford sort of way, isn't it, really? Over that direction.
Just above the M25, basically.
Yeah. And it's based... Its location is based at probably one of the worst kept nuclear secret bunkers locations within the UK or anywhere in the world due to the amount of signposts that lead you to this nuclear secret bunker.
Well, it's meant to be a secret nuclear bunker, isn't it, Carl? But you've just told everyone now. So the secret's out. So yes, it's on the it's on the farm. We've owned that now for about 30 years, and that's where the name originally came from, Nuclear Races, because the secret nuclear bunker is here, and there's lots of nice brown signs around Essex pointing to it.
Pointing everyone in your direction. And many people may not know that you're also obviously a full-time working farm as well. So that's where your background lies, isn't it?
It's a family farm, family estate probably these days. We do, quite a few different things. We're quite highly diversified. Obviously, we've talked about the bunker that's open to the public as a tourist attraction. There's nuclear high ropes. That's a high ropes course on the farm. There's various fishing lakes. There's all sorts of attractions.
Plenty to keep people busy down there.
Especially when everyone's on furlong, yes.
So, as well as being one of the bigger sort of organisations within the world, you've obviously got a lot of unique obstacles as well. You've got sort of the death slide. That is probably the most unique obstacle that makes you really stand out because of not just for the picture opportunities, but just for the way it came about and things as well. It was it was Muddy Racers, weren't it, that originally came up with the idea, and then that it was born from there.
Yes. You're going back some time, Carl. You've been around nearly as long as I have. Yes, I think it goes back to about 2013, 2014, and there was a challenge laid down, and because they'd done something similar in America, and if there was 100 likes, then I was going to accept the challenge. And in the event, 100 likes in those days was quite a lot. And in the end, there was about 400 or 500, so we set about building it.
And it's now become... It's one that really sets you apart especially in terms of photo opportunities. It's one that you don't really get anywhere else. But even that's evolved over the time that you've had that. You've got the little one now, haven't you, as well?
That's the whole thing. The advantage of a permanent course, or the challenge, is to keep things fresh. You can build big, you can build strong, you only build it once, but then you don't want it to be the same. So, like you've just said, it started off very small. I think it got then wider. Then we put a kicker on the front to give people a bit of air. And then in recent years, we put last year, we put the secondary slide next door to it to give us a bit more capacity. And we were concerned that some people, it wasn't their cup of tea. It's quite a thing to go off the top of that. I don't particularly like going off it. So we thought we'd put a slightly gentler one to the side for those that wanted to sort of break the ice. And only to find in the last race that nobody at all used that. And everybody wanted to go onto the original Big Bad Death Slide.
Well, no one wants to be seen as that chicken, do they, that takes the easy route. So before it gets glossed over, when was Nuclear Racers founded then, James?
Well, I've been doing this now. Next year's our 10th year.
Okay.
So I've been doing this for 9 years. We started off as Adventure Race Essex, sort of a sign of the times. It wasn't called OCR. They'd never heard of OCR. I thought it was Obstacle Character Recognition or something. And
that was Lactic Fallout, was it?
That's right, Lactic Rush, Lactic Fallout. Yep.
I saw a little review online earlier. This was from the Phoenix FM. I think they must have sent a couple of runners along to it.
Right.
And they put early Sunday morning, over 100 runners took part in the Lactic Fallout, a wet and muddy 7-mile cross-country running obstacle course.
Yeah. First race
It said that the race included several obstacles, including a water slide, wading through a smelly pond, a haystack, and trenches approximately 6 feet deep.
No wreck bag.
It's changed a bit.
Yeah. No, I was going to
since
say it's
then.
about the same. Yeah, no, first race we did had 180 people, and we were pleased with that. And
That when my mate won that one, I think. Was that Ronnie?
it was
Did
Ronnie
he win that?
O'Sullivan. Yeah, you're right. First race I think he won, and came second or third in the second one. So so that was Adventure Race Essex. That was sort of a smaller county affair, and then in 2014 we renamed it and went to Nuclear Races. I had a partner to begin with, but then it was went solo, and Nuclear Races then went from strength to strength from that point onwards to, normally, actually next weekend we would normally have 12,000 odd runners, 8,000 odd spectators, and it's just grown consistently over that time. Not particularly fast, no great jumps, just sort of 10, 15, 20% each time, which it's slow and steady, but it allows you to learn your trade, not make the mistakes, or correct any mistakes that you have made, and make sure that you deliver. There's far too many events out there that promise the world and then don't deliver. We're rather different here. We like to sort of under-promise and then over-deliver.
I think that shows in the growth, doesn't it? I mean, everyone would love an extra 10, 15% race on race on race. And when you've been around for so long, those numbers soon add up and start spiralling. I mean, how many people could you take on the course over a weekend? What would be the max? Without running for 24 hours.
Yeah. Well, you see, the 24-hour race, we were going to do that this year. It's so frustrating, all this stuff we want to do, and now it's all been put on hold. We could probably get another 3. Saturday's always rammed. Sunday, we could probably get another 3,000-4,000 in. So we're probably up to 15,000 before we've got to start thinking about making the death side a bit wider and putting a bit more grass down for the car park.
Sounds like a lot of grey hairs, that one, though, James, to get to those sort of figures.
It's just not happy. It's not happy with 10,000 to 12,000.
You want... Saturday's good. Sunday we could have a few more, but that's where we're working hard on that with the team race. We were going to do the Kids Pro race this year on Sunday. I mean, all that's very inspiring. Bringing the youngster on, Gavin, one of your last, Gavin from Zeus there's doing an excellent job bringing on the youth and encouraging them, and that's the future in many ways. We're all about that, the family, the community, the whole journey, the whole start when you're young and keep going until you can't or you're fed up with it.
Yeah. Because I think in terms of races, from the outside looking in terms of retaining racers, like the actual people taking part in it, yours is probably one of the higher ones in terms of people seem to keep coming back. You get this real brand loyalty towards you. There's only really one other that comes close, and that's probably Tough Mudder in terms of numbers and the amount of loyalty that you've got and how people are through and through.
And Spartan.
Yeah, Spartan, but it's not. I think the trouble with I think because Spartan's competitive, a lot of people they tend to move on because they're moving on to a new challenge. Whereas because if you're not competitive, if you're not competitively inclined, then you're going to go for something that's not really that sort of push if it's not pushing you in that direction. So it's probably where Nuclear and Tough Mudder, why they pick up on those people year in, year out. In terms of, so obviously for me, I'm pretty geeky. So in terms of the cherry on top, it's having like the nuclear secret bunker there. I love stuff. I love things like that. I absolutely love it. So, but then, so you're hosting an event at the same location, obviously every time, which it must have its own challenges. And like you've said, the way to get around that is to evolve and keep things progressing all the time. And you've got sort of it's up to 6 major events now, in six events throughout the year. I think it is last time I counted.
Yeah, well, you've got to keep it fresh. You've got to keep innovating. You've got to listen to what the runners want, but try and make it different each time. We've got 2 courses here, which helps. We never run them the same way each time. Yeah. Clearly, the signature obstacles you have to sort of hit at some point, but we make a great effort of remarking and doing something different, try and surprise everybody, keep them off guard between each race. I think the newer races for coming forward, or the things I'm more excited about, are the team race. I think since the World Championship came here, that's caught on and inspired a lot of people, and that will be big in the future. I think the 24-hour race, which we were going to do, the inaugural one this year, will catch on as well. Oblivion, when you just keep on going all day long, it appeals to many.
Yeah.
And then we have the original 7K, 12K courses.
Yeah. So, obviously, as you've mentioned, like next weekend it would have been Rush, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Next weekend, yeah. And I've noticed that you've put something else on to keep racers occupied. What's that you've got planned for them?
The plan this weekend is to have a bit of fun, revisit it, relive it as much as possible. We're going to be on Strava to allow people to sort of compete against themselves. Going to be a mud bucket challenge that I'm involved in. Not quite sure what that's going to involve. What I'm going to end up doing, but we're going to do a question and answer session. Just, we miss it, actually. The farm is really quiet at the moment, and it's the first spring we've had, for 10 years without anything going on, and we miss everybody. I've got used to having people around. A lot of them are friends now, and we just want to sort of get together and do something. It will all be rolled out on Facebook in the next few days.
Get back to some sort of normality. I think everyone's hankering after that as well, aren't they?
It would be nice. I mean, we were nearly there, or we're nearly there now with the slight relaxation. Certainly, the Wild Forest will start coming online soon. The nuclear high ropes won't be far behind it. We've all been on an axe throwing instructor's course. So we're going to be rolling that out at the Wild Forest and the high ropes as well, which will go down well, I think.
It sounds
after 10 weeks of being locked up.
Yeah. Just don't put risky. Gavin in charge of that area, because he doesn't seem to be very capable with the axes after seeing his injury. So Rush in May is usually what's described as like the big one for you. Is that right? So
correct. Yeah.
And then so if we sort of jump forward to next year, because this year is so uncertain, we can kind of go through the events for next year. Because then after that, it's
so next year we would normally we would kick the year off with Rush, as you say, this next weekend, do the kids races, Oblivion.
Yeah. It's my 6-year anniversary today since I did Rush. 6 years, 2014.
Is your time getting better, Kevin, each race?
I think I've only done twice. I've been there a number of times, but I think I've actually been twice. But yeah, every time
getting faster. There's more. You're getting faster.
He's definitely getting slower.
Yeah.
I loved Ebenezer. I think that was one of my favourite parts of it. So I was wondering, who comes up with the names? Who named it Ebenezer? What was the reason behind
Ebenezer? Because we dug that obstacle and I put a spurge pipe in the bottom. So I drilled a lot of holes in a scaffold tube and then connected a roadman's compressor to it. So bubbled up like a geyser. It exploded. And so it was ebony, a bit of rhyming slang there. Ebenezer geyser, you see.
And it is that's probably one of the most, if people have never done it before, it's probably one of the most underrated obstacles, because everyone attacks it as if they're going to be able to run straight through it. And we have discussed it before on podcast, haven't we, Kev? We've discussed it a couple of times. And basically you end up having to swim as much on the surface of it as you possibly can to even attempt getting over it.
Don't stop. You can never. Mud's a tricky thing to get right. Even being a farmer, haven't quite mastered that one yet. Some years it's very, very gloopy and sticky. Other years it's very runny. Other years it's crusty on top. But at its glory, we get quite a few people stuck in the middle, and the trick is to keep moving. It doesn't really matter on technique as long as you move fast. If you do get stuck, my tip is to just flip on your back and do backstroke and get yourself out like that. Spread your body weight so you don't sink in.
Sounds like you're just trying to get people to coat themselves in mud to me.
Then we love mud.
There must be a bit of a graveyard for shoes. Like the death slide must be a graveyard for GoPros.
The shoes sort of rise up through the winter slowly, like your raisins in Alpen.
As long as there's not a foot attached, then we've
yet to find the skeletons. We bury them deeper. If you go deeper than 6 foot.
So the new one for the lineup after that for next year would be is it Meltdown Nuclear 24?
Correct. Yes.
So what made that one come about? Is it like you've said, the World Champs, the endurance ones? Is that sort of where you're aiming towards to maybe host that in the future, or as a test run?
There was a conversation about that. We moved on from there though, and so I decided to put it on. There's been a clamour for a long time, requests from the runners to do a 24-hour race, and it's never been the right time. But now it goes back to being different, offering different courses and different challenges, and now's the right time to do that.
Yeah.
Only it wasn't because of the virus. But next year we will be there. It'll be a lot of fun, actually. Very much looking forward to that. I think it's going to be quite popular as well. Well, it'll have a nuclear twist on it. It won't be like a normal 24 enduro. There'll be more of a sort of a party atmosphere. It'll just have the nuclear signature.
It just makes me nervous. And I know how hard it is for me and Kevin in terms of the logistics of putting one race on throughout like a 10-hour period. But the logistics of putting on a 24-hour race just makes me think, like, why would you do it to yourself? Like, what? Or do you just enjoy it?
It's a bit easier when you have a farm here. But it's it's the challenge, isn't it? It's the same as the runners. You just got to get round. It doesn't matter whether you crawl, run. It's the sense of achievement at the end. You've just got to complete it and get your medal and say it's done. And it's the same, from my side. Don't tell anyone, but I don't really like running, and I don't really like doing obstacles. But I do like hosting an event. And you get to the end and you go, they said it couldn't be done. It was done. Oh, that's the death. Not the death side. There's the zip lines we had here. It was Pete, Mudstickle Pete. Said to me, "Well, I'd love to do a death side, but there's not a death side. Sorry, a zip line. But there's no way you could have it. In a race. There'd be queues. You can't recycle the trolleys. It wouldn't work. But wouldn't it be great?"
So then
it's a bit of a challenge, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Well, we nailed that one.
So we know what to do now then, Kevin. If we think of anything that we think, that can't be done, just go to James. Just chuck it in James's.
Well, you do it long enough. We've had hailstones. I think we've had snow. We've had floods. We've had very dusty droughts. We just suck it up. Get on.
Yeah.
Makes it fun. Makes it different. Be boring if it was the same every time.
Plus, like Mud 7's always in August as well, so it's summer, nice sunny weather. Whereas I've been to Nuclear and you've had some challenges with the weather.
Quite so bad, doesn't it, Kev? Even though you still manage it somehow in summer, but either way.
As long as you've got a nice warm shower and a cup of tea.
I like summer dry.
You have a smile, a nice glow inside.
That's it. So after that one, July time, summer party. So this is the one that you don't really push out that hard, apart from to, like, the community mainly. It's not really one that you try and make into a huge.
The idea
event.
there was on race day we're pretty busy, and we're getting busier and busier, and you never actually get to really meet the team, talk to me, talk to the others, and that's the idea that. It's a different environment. It's not race pressure. We're all in the same field, lots of obstacles around, and we get to meet and greet and mingle and answer questions and just be a bit more human. And that's where it comes from. It's camping. It's pretty much on my front lawn. It's in the middle of harvest. It's also my birthday generally, and so I don't actually want thousands of people. It's normally about 800 people, and that's just fine.
Yeah, and it's a good way for people to have a little taster of, like, maybe the death slide or whatever. If they're a bit anxious about it, it's a good way to dip the toe in, isn't it? To be able to have a bit of fun and
there's no pressure.
Yeah.
That's right. There's the water brings another factor to it, and there's more down there now. It's a shame this year we did another swinging type obstacle that you might have seen. I mean, that'll be the new signature obstacle, I think, in a year or two. And it does. People can sit and look and eye it up and work out their strategy and build up to it and back off if they need to, or take their time and then do it. And then, that fear is then nailed and they're up and running, and it's just great. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to sort of get to take part in obstacles, not do that much running, and get to eat a little bit of barbecue food as well? It's sort of perfect day, really, isn't it? And,
it is.
And obviously playing about in the water.
Yeah, no, it's surprising though how I think it's about 1 o'clock normally we open, and people misjudge it because you get to 3-4 o'clock and you're a bit shattered. And so that's great that the fact you've got your tent there. It all goes quiet for a couple of hours before the disco and the music and the food kicks in, and then everyone's back at it.
So then after that one, after enjoying your birthday weekend and what have you, you've then got the next one in September, which is...
they said that couldn't be done as well. That's Blast and Blackout, isn't it? That's the night race. And they said you can't hold a race, you can't do an OCR at night. No one will go, it'd be far too dangerous. And that's a great race. Always sells out. Interestingly, it's one of our safest races. And I used to worry, a lot about it, especially the night before. But actually, because it's dark, people take more care.
Yeah,
and it's statistically from the medic tent, it's by far our safest race. Hardly ever get an injury on that.
And that's the one. So for me, sort of geeking out again, they get to run through the bunker and what have you as well. We've changed the course every year. We've run through the bunker in the past. There was year before last. It was a very, very wet race, and we ran through the bunker and took quite a lot of mud into the bunker. And the bunker was open to the tourists the next day. So there was some of us in the HQ team that were up for 24 hours cleaning said bunker. So we're not so keen on that now, but there are other tunnels and underground structures to take its place. Yeah.
It's not saying we'll never do it again. We just need that scar to heal for a bit.
Is that your dad, or who was that? Who was the most cross about that situation then?
Me, because I had to clean it. It's that's certainly my father's domain. Family farm, as I said, to your estate. That's one of his areas of responsibility, underground operations. So
yeah,
I needed to get it up and running.
So then, James, after Blackout and Blast, we've then got a little break until November time.
6 weeks.
This is Fallout. This is the
beast
for me. Real brutal, cold. Well, most of the time anyway.
It's the
cold.
Tester.
It is. And so, what made you want to put on an event in November? Just because there's a month where you've not got too much to do, or
because they said it couldn't be done?
Finished harvest and we'd done the sowing for next year, and so that's the next available time slot. Is how that started off. But
and
as time went on, it's very appealing to end the season with that sort of challenge. It's different. I mean, it's just hard work. It's completely different to May. It's 2 steps backwards to 1 step forward.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It's a challenge. it's providing a rounded experience for our regular season holders. It's just something different. Until you've experienced that cold and that mud and that grind, then you haven't lived the nuclear experience properly.
So that's the one that makes Rush seem like a walk in the park.
Walk in the park,
maybe then.
Absolutely.
So out of all those, obviously those are all your babies. You've put blood, sweat, and tears into those. Which would you say is your favourite though of all of those, if you had to choose? And that's probably difficult, but which is the one that you gravitate towards? And it can't include the summer party because that's obviously birthday.
No.
So
It's Nuclear Rush in May, where there's just so much fun. There's so many newbies coming in, so many groups, so many charity dues. Everyone's smiling. It's warmer. It's the spirit. It's the community. Everyone just gets into it more. They stay behind afterwards, get into the village atmosphere, the festival atmosphere. It works. It ticks a lot of boxes, that one.
Yeah. Just and I'm assuming because you've not got to worry about foil blankets and other bits and pieces, it's far less stressful. So one thing that I don't want to miss out on in terms of like logistics and putting on provisions for people, you are one of the racers that goes above and beyond in terms of what you lay on. So for those that don't know or have not taken part in a nuclear event before, you've got heated showers. You warm up the water for people to be able to take a shower afterwards. You've got, is it blackout and blast where you have the cup of tea to finish off as part of your reward for finishing, and just bits and pieces like that, and having real good sort of smoothly flowing changing like facilities to put your bag drop and all that sort of things, all those sort of things. Do you find
it's 10 years of experience, Carl?
Yeah, well, there is that, but do you find it stressful having to get all your ducks in a row for all that sort of stuff, though, the logistics, because it's so above and beyond?
I mean, it's the details that always count, and it's valuing our runners and wanting them to say, wow, that's different, that's unique, that's special, that's something extra, especially as we haven't been charged for it, and that's a great feeling from my side. It's when we do something like that, there's always a learning curve, and every race, even now we've put on 40, 50 races probably, but we still learn something every single race, learn many things, and you accept that. You never get it perfect, you never get it right, and you pick that up, you debrief, ask for criticism. It's a great thing, feedback. Tell James we have, and you learn so much, and you nail it, and you go on next time, and you do it. So yeah, to begin with, it's a bit intimidating making 12,000 cups of tea, but you get your systems in place.
Yeah.
I mean, one year we were a little smaller. A few years ago now, we decided to do cocktails at the end, give everyone a slowgasm at the end of the race. So the nuclear team all got together and picked the slows off the trees. My brother-in-law's a pilot, so we detailed him every time he went through duty free to buy cheap gin, and we made gallons and gallons and gallons of slow gin, and then got some cheap prosecco and put it all together. And instead of a cup of tea at the end, we had a cocktail. You got a little bit of a boost. Handmade on the farm, yeah.
And is that not something you'd do again then? Was that a bit too stressful, that one?
Yeah. No, we might not do that. I think tea's better.
I remember I spoke to you a few years ago after one of the events, and you said like one of the biggest learnings you'd taken was from when Mr. Mouse came to the course and went on the death slide, and you said, always wear underwear when you've been on the death slide was the biggest learning that you've taken away from that journey.
Yeah, that was a very memorable event, seeing Mr. Mouse and Little Mouse on the death slide, yeah. And it being televised and being on video and in the race village and on TV. And
for all the family to see.
For the whole world to see, yeah. I didn't see that one coming. That wasn't in my race directives. But director's handbook for the day, that's for sure.
No mission statement around that one or anything.
Yeah, and you learn every race, don't you?
So in terms of learning curves, and this is probably a tough one, and there might not be anything there in it, but is there anything, if you could have your time again and start back, is there anything that you'd have done differently along the way that really sticks out for you? Or do you welcome all those speed bumps and what have you that you've hit along the way?
No, you do welcome them, and it's nice that the speed bumps are warnings. We've never yet dropped the ball, and I hope we don't. But that's the advantage of being here on the farm. Permanent course, there's a lot of resources and infrastructure here on the farm. So we've had tents blow away in the morning and welded them up before the brackets before people have arrived. We've had floods. We've had all sorts, and you cold, hypothermia, and you build around it. You learn and you bring it forward, and make sure it doesn't happen again. If I had my time again, what would I do?
Or would you do it at all?
Yeah, stick to farming. No, I would have done more bigger signature obstacles earlier on in my career. To begin with, it was quite a slow start, but that was the scene then, and what was considered a signature obstacle then is nothing these days.
Yeah, and like you say, that's quite good for in terms of me being able to put a follow-on question towards you, because the industry is changing. It is. You've hosted 2 World Championships now. And obviously, the World Championships is highly, what's the word for it, technical in terms of their obstacles. So they'll do a lot of rigs and what have you. And that does seem to be the direction a lot of events are going towards. And so from hosting the 2 World Champs, is there anything that you sort of are taken away from what they do differently to you that you actually want to push on into your events in the future?
No, I see myself more than ever as a jack of all trades. It's no good just catering for the elites and making everything Ninja Warrior hard. It's great to look at spinning, colourful obstacles, but at the end of the day, there's very few people can do it, and it's not much fun for the runners if you fail a lot of the obstacles. I would make every effort. I've got a rule in my head that every sort of upper body strength obstacle that I do now, there should be 2 or 3 other obstacles that are very much achievable and doable, and more about balance and leg work and things like that.
Yeah, so, that sounds like a sensible way to go. Sometimes
my takeaway thing is, not too much hard stuff, and you've got to be very aware of the weather as well. That the first World Championships here was like summer; it was hot and dusty. And the next one was like the middle of winter, and the same obstacles are just 10 times harder, and you have to be aware of that and make that judgment on the morning. And it's a controversial thing to say, but you have to be aware that female runners don't have the same, generally have the same upper body strength as men, and so again, you've got to make sure it's achievable and possible and fun for them.
Yeah,
because you hosted the UK champs as well a few years ago. Remember Freya Martin struggling on one of the obstacles, and she was just amazing. Like for the women, even she was like with the wet. I think it was the rings going across.
Yeah, it was another really wet day, and it takes you by surprise. You don't have the hand, the strength in your hands. But yeah, it's the weather's everything.
It was great for all the international visitors, though, to experience something different. Obviously, they've been over in the US and to the World Championships there, and like I say, everything's very dry. To come over and do a different type of course, that's what OCR is all about. Every course isn't going to be the same, and I think it sort of put nuclear on the map globally as well, on just how sort of pioneering and innovative you are.
It's nice to show off how we do here, but we do it a different style, don't we, to the rest of the world, really, in this country. It's more, it's more mud run style at the end of the day here. It's more about the elements. It's more about the weather, getting
about having
around.
fun.
Well, it depends whether you're talking about the World Championship or a normal race. Normal race, yes, the emphasis is having fun, but when you're hosting the World Championships, it's more about providing a testing course for everybody.
Yeah, so it is strange, and it must have been really different 'cause it is a flip side. But you've put on the I can't think of the name of it now. Which is your championship event, James? The
Nuclear Challenge Cup.
Challenge Cup, that's the one.
Question,
so Challenge Cup.
it?
So what sort of pushed that? What sort of pushed you away from calling that the UK Championships and not just claiming the UK Championships for your own in terms of the or is it the sort of being a poison chalice that the UK Championships always seems to be? Did you just want to shy away from the name?
I don't. I'm not. I do what I do, and it's my style. I'm not, as I've said, I don't run. I don't like running that much. I don't do other races. I've got my own style, and I don't really aspire to holding the UK Championships. What I do aspire to is being seen as holding one of the best races in the country and the most worthy to win in the country. So very similar to Wimbledon, for the tennis. There's lots of championships around the world and this and that, but the one everybody wants to go to and win and means the most is Wimbledon. And I would like it if Nuclear is seen as something like that, but it's done on my terms, on my farm, on my course, and we'll make that as good as it needs to be to get that accolade, really.
Yeah, and it's because I think because you don't push it forward as being that sort of like bring all come all championship, it sort of sometimes gets overlooked by. But saying that the field, the number of runners who are competitive within the UK has obviously shrank quite a lot anyway within over the last few years. In terms of like organised teams and what have you, there's not really that.
There aren't great numbers. It's more about providing an experience and this journey of people starting off, almost walking around, then loving it, doing a little bit more, getting a little bit more fitter, then coming back to every race, then training in between the races, then looking for the next challenge, and then ending up doing something like that. But the Challenge Cup got rather overtaken with the World Championship. It's been here 2 years now. There was a year thinking about it, so that's why the profile of that's been so low, because it's happening just 3 weeks after the World Championship. That will hopefully pick up now and go forward and be as popular as people want it to be.
Yeah, because I'm not drawn towards the competitive aspect of OCR, but I still would like to see them, like the competitive races, have somewhere to go to be able to compete within the UK. Because at the moment there are some, and there are sort of self-appointed like competitive races and whatever, but there's none that really sort of stand out too much at the moment as being like that set apart too much from the others. I suppose that I might as well get a question in that's going to sort of get the grey matter going a little bit more. Then, James, we've done the nicey bits about nuclear
killer
and stuff.
blow, are you? Okay.
Yeah, well, not so much killer blow. Just it's going to be more probably personal opinions rather than being like a business opinion and what have you. So in terms of OCR and it being turned into a recognised sport and the direction it's going, and what's your personal feelings about that and sort of there being a federation in charge?
We've had some false starts with
the different bits and pieces. What's your feelings at the moment? Yeah, we have had false starts. The association itself, I think that's why they've moved away from the word association, because straight away that seemed to be something that killed everything in its before it even got going. So we've got obviously the federation now. So have you had much interaction with the federation? Have they had much interaction with you? Do you see OCR becoming an actual recognised sport? What's your thoughts on that? It's quite a loaded question, I know. Sorry, but
Yeah, my the people have been burnt in the past. There've been false starts. I'm not against the federation, the latest guise of it. I'm not, madly for it. I'm sitting on the fence. I haven't engaged, or they haven't engaged with me. They have ideas on how to go forward and develop the sport, and that's runner-led, which I'm not too sure is how I would do it, but I'm not doing it. It is a very sort of poison chalice, a bit like being prime minister. Really, I'm not too sure you can win.
You can't do any good by
you can't win that. You're always gonna attract quite a lot of flack. I do admire them for doing it, because it's pretty much an unpaid job, and there's a lot of time required, a lot of time and expertise, and I don't think people realise quite how much time there is going into something like that. I think the numbers that it's trying to represent, I mean, I think they're on the right page and got the right idea, but there's not the grassroots in the sport to fuel those sort of numbers. Now, the game changer there is if it does become an Olympic sport in a few years' time, whenever that is, 2028, and they manage to inspire again the youth coming along, and then they're going to need instructors, and that will bring on a whole new breed of competitor runner, and then I can see it taking off and being successful. Other than that, in the existing market, I think the market is far more orientated around the fun runner, and that's where the money is. And obviously there's been a lot of, it started off with a few of us 10 years ago, then there were hundreds and hundreds of races, and now we're contracting back down to more sustainable numbers.
We've gone through the curve.
We've flattened the curve. We've flattened the curve, and we're staying alert, and we're on guard, and we'll those that survive will come out the other side. I do think I do admire a lot of my fellow race directors that do it for the love and the passion of it. And that's got everything to do with it, and everything to do with what the reason why I do it, and the feeling, and your hair standing up on the back of your neck. It's not the John Albums of this world that managed to get around the course in an hour, although that's really quite inspiring. It's people that haven't done any exercise typically for 20 years. Had their kids, and then they try this, and they walk around pretty much, go over some obstacles, and it takes them 4 or 5 hours, and they get to the finish line, and they are bushwhacked. They can't go and run that course again. You're
just describing Carlia.
Every last bit of energy, and that is truly sort of humbling. And then when you see them come back, and then they pull you aside and say, "Do you know, I get up now before the husband goes to work, and I go for a run, or I do these press-ups or chin-ups or exercises in the house," and that's the start of the journey, and that's really, very, very, very cool.
It is, and it's just getting people up and active again, and whatever else. That's probably one of the driving factors to that. Like you say, a lot of race directors definitely do it for the love of it. They don't really do it because there's huge profits or whatever in it for many of them. So,
but. My point was that it has to be for business, though. You have to make money. You can't just keep on doing it for the love of it. You can do it once or twice or 3 times.
Love doesn't pay the bills. You can be lucky.
No, with the money, but it has been a cut and thrust, and you have to bring the money in, and that enables you to be professional about the thing, and have backup plans and provide the infrastructure behind the scenes in case the weather turns for the worse, or God forbid there's a serious accident, and then you've got the facilities, the medics there, and the resources to evac them out efficiently,
and the reinvestment as well.
Yeah,
you can't keep growing without that.
No, absolutely. You need to keep things fresh. People won't come back to the same course again and again.
Yeah.
Have you got an obstacle idea for me then, Kevin?
You're putting me on the spot now. We need to have an obstacle called the Wibberley.
You've got to stay alert.
There's got to be something called the Wibberley.
So we're speaking on Monday night, 11th of May, after good old Boris has made his announcements and what have you on the Sunday night. And although they weren't quite as in-depth as people expected them to be...
It's clarified them today, though. Everyone's clear now.
Oh, are they?
Clear as mud. Clear as mud.
Clear as Ebenezer. Yeah. So at least we've got a general idea of where some bits are going in terms of normal society, but in terms of mass participation events, we still don't really have much of a clue what's going to happen with things. So in terms of how you've sort of sidestepped and adapted to what's happening right now, James, what are your first thoughts on it and how nuclear may be different in terms of like the future?
I very much want to put a race on. I know some are quite happy to sort of write the year off and then start again next year, and I get that and I accept that. And certainly if you're sort of hiring in your facilities, absolutely the right decision. We are the other way around. The moment we are given the go ahead by Boris, then we'll put a race on of some description or another. Today, I haven't studied today's 60-page document really, but yesterday, was the start of the release, and the doors nearly open there for opening up the Wild Forest gym and starting to do some training and exercising and practice on that, and that will be the first, the step and process. And we've been madly out there today, and will be tomorrow, putting in various precautions which will allow us to be virus safe. We will be on our guard and alert. Going forward, I think it's going to be a slow recovery. I think the summer party is 50-50 if that goes ahead. If everything goes well by Boris's plan and we put in a few procedures, I can see that being okay. Blast blackout, very similar. The problem, we can put it on with about 2 weeks' notice, but we need to have some sort of notice, and I don't think the government are ever going to be able to commit and say, or certainly in the short term, look, I think on the 1st of September all mass participation events will be able to go ahead. But as soon as we have guidelines on the amount of numbers we're allowed on site, and we can ensure the safety of all the runners and all my staff, then we'll be there for sure. I think Rush, which was postponed to October, stands a very good chance of going on. And then Fallout, which we spoke briefly, that's been shifted from November to February. So really, I hope that will go ahead.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed, because I think everyone's itching to get back out. Obviously, everyone understands the reasoning behind it and why events just can't happen at the moment. But at the same time, there's a hell of a lot of people with a real passion for this industry that just want to get cracking with it. And so it sometimes feels a little bit like a weird cheese-fueled dream that we've sort of dropped into, and we just need to hurry up and wake up from it, because it's a bit of a strange thing.
It does. It's frustrating, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's we have used this time quite productively, actually, thinking about new obstacles, new ways of doing things. I think when we are, allowed out there to get on with it, it will be pretty special, and everyone will have a spark and a bit of viz in themselves. We've been locked up for the last, I don't know how many months it's going to be, but it could quite possibly be a really, really, really good crack.
Yeah, I think definitely everyone's looking forward to it, and people are going to be less inclined to take things like this for granted as well in the future. So when you've had something taken away, it's an
eye-opener, isn't it, for our generation?
Yeah.
It is testing our generation. We've never had anything like this before. But then, there's been some great friendships formed. It's great to see all the running that's going on. There are positives to this, and we've got to get on with it. It's not, it's no one's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's here. We've got to do this lockdown thing, get it done, make the best of it, move on, look forward.
People are appreciating the more simple things in life again, aren't they?
I think so. Yeah, no, it's I do feel a bit guilty being here on the farm on a lockdown. It's a little, I feel a little bit spoilt. But it's the simple things that you can just have time to go and do and reflect on that are important. We don't do enough of that when everyday life is so busy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that once they get past getting used to having the kids at home and things like that and adapting to that, then they realise it's quite a blessing that they're screaming in their ears.
Have you seen some of the creativity when they've made these obstacle courses in their back gardens and it's old school entertainment, isn't it? A bit more. Making good of what you've got around you.
I think, well, like you say, it's just when people have got no option, that's when they thrive, isn't it? When they get pushed into a certain situation. So each episode, what we like to do when we're doing an interview, James, is give the interviewee a 30-second slot to go through what they feel makes their own event unique, or to be able to push something forward. Do
a selling job. So this is your selling opportunity. You only get 30 seconds though, so you have to. If you watch the timer in the corner of the screen, you'll see how fast that 30 seconds goes.
Is it like countdown?
Countdown on steroids is a little bit. So what I'll do is on the minute we're gonna just let you run with it. So 4, 3, 2, 1, go, James.
But you know the thing. You shouldn't have to sell a product. It should sell itself.
So this is like me selling my pies. This sounds card.
Yeah, no, that's it. But you do. You look after your runners, and they'll look after you. They'll come back because they want to come back. That's why we have like a 60% return rate, and that's that comes from being a farmer. We don't think about the next race or the next month. We think in years, we think in decades, we think in next generations. And as long as the race is going forward and you're showing everyone a good time, then they'll come back. They will do the marketing for you. They will talk about the good time they had, the hot showers, the cups of tea, the T-shirts, the photos, the death
There you
slides.
go. See, now you're doing it. Yeah, that's it. That's better. Come on.
The new innovative races, the
dry robes,
the team races. How cool those dry robes are, and how once you've got one, you can't live without one. You thought you could survive and thought you could live before that. You then do the 24-hour race. That's another level up, and if you can do that, then that's just amazing. And if you either do it solo or you do it as a team, you just get the job done, get it round there. You come back for the summer party, you have fun there, relax, hone your skills, introduce your skills.
He's done us here, Carl. He's had like a minute and a half.
It's
just a stealth. This is a stealth advertising technique. This is.
In the meantime, you've come back for the Wild Forest and practiced and trained and joined Nuclear Phoenix team or the Wild Forest team, and you're getting into that way. So then you're prepared for blast, blackout, fallout, and then end of the year you sit back and you go, yeah, good job. What I really want to do now is go around the high ropes course.
I didn't even want to stop you because Penny will be as proud as Punch of you pushing that like that. Then.
I need an auto cue.
That's a market.
That's your 30 seconds up.
30 seconds, good.
That's good though. I like it. I didn't think you'd take that. I didn't think you'd take it and run with it as much as what you did there, James. So I like it a lot.
Oh, it's nuclear style. I like the pun.
In terms of the future for yourselves, you've said that it's sort of a family-led farm and what have you. Is there someone there ready and raring? Are the kids as interested in it as what you are? Do you think they're ready to take when you're ready for a bit of a break? Are they ready to grab the baton at some stage? Do you think is there the enthusiasm from their side with it?
So here's a rundown. You have my grandmother, who's the senior partner. She's 99 3/4. She lives here next to me now in the office on the farm by herself. You then have the next generation, my father, who's in charge of underground operations that we've talked about, and general farm. You then have me, who's running everything else. And my two daughters. Both are teenagers. One is 18, one is 16. So Grace is the eldest. She's just finished A-levels now and off to university if they open up this year. And she will take and hold the baton she's going to study agricultural business at Reading University, and she will be the next generation that takes on the farm.
That's cool. That's good to hear. I'm glad about that. I didn't know what way that were going to go. So
you don't need to worry, Carl. We've been here. We've been farmers for. Here's a fact for you. We've been farmers for 400 years, and we've managed to move 12 miles as the crow flies in that time. We started off in East Ham, then we went to Dagenham, and now we're here in Brentwood, Essex.
Wow. And so a bit of probably a question that not many people will be interested in apart from me. What sort of crops have you grown over that time then? What's been your main source of sort of, I guess, income from the farming and what have you? Has it always been crops, or has it been livestock, or?
Oh, I didn't expect you. You blindsided me with that question, Carl.
He likes fossils as well.
Fossils.
Yeah,
farm-wise, there's not much money in farming. We're very fortunate in this area.
But
you never been to poor farm, are you? You really have got it there before you, Carl.
You've got very short arms and long pockets. So we're very fortunate farming in the southeast, so close to London, that we can tap into the success of that. The farm is highly diversified. So our income we have lots of different income sources, and we don't rely on the farm at all. The farming is, though, the mother business, and everything else happens because of that. And I still would introduce myself in a dinner party or something as a farmer rather than a race director or a property man or this or that. But going back to your questions, crops I have grown. Here's a fact you might not know. I used to grow make mint sauce. I used to make 400 tonne of mint sauce a year. This was 20 years ago, we gave this up now, but it used to be Coleman's and us. So we used to do all the own label stuff and all the restaurants, and Coleman's did the rest.
It's a lot of Sunday dinners.
But we've grown mint sauce, horseradish, genopodium, poppies, flowers, wheat, rape, beans, oats, borage, millet, soya, and probably some others.
Cranberries?
Oilseed rape, linseed, lots of different crops over the years.
I'm thinking of ingredients for our pies here, so...
what you can tap into. No, it's just that would just me being geeky as usual. But so I think in terms of nuclear, obviously you put on a solid race. If people haven't taken part yet, then they are, and even other race directors won't mind me saying this, they are missing out by not taking on a nuclear event, because it is a solid choice.
There's nothing else out there like it. It's unique at the end of the day, isn't it? There's other big events, so like in where I'm in the Midlands, you've got the Wolf Run, which get the sort of big numbers like you get, and they have big obstacles, lots of water, lots of running, but the sort of innovation isn't there in this amount of different obstacles. I mean, how many obstacles you got on the course now, James, on a typical event?
100. Something like that. We don't want more. We limit it now. Too many is logistically too hard to handle. But I like, from those kind words, I like the bit that you said about innovative. I'd like to think even a straightforward, bog standard obstacle that might be here on the farm has a twist. So when you come up to it, you do have to use your grey matter a little bit to figure out how to get over it. That's the whole point. It wants to be unique. It wants to be different. It wants to be challenging.
Yeah. And I think it is. No, basically, if someone signed up, they'd definitely not be disappointed. There's not many places where you can whiz down a death slide or down a zip line or get to carry what is basically a missile along a carry. Or so there's not many places where you get to experience that. And so is the sort of plans for the future for people to be able to spend like full weekends with you and things then, James? Or
Just
so
with
so
James,
they
or
can-
just on the course?
well, just in terms of like, yeah, in James's house and in his back garden, camping in his back garden.
That is his
So,
back garden.
in terms of like, so they can take on sort of one or more of the experiences. So maybe race with you, high ropes, wild forest. Well, wild forest becomes part of the course, doesn't it? So, but high ropes and other bits and pieces. Is there ways that people can do that? Can they stay in? Are there any like huts or camping?
You've got a day
or-
job. I think you ought to come work for me, Carl. Sounds like a plan. What we should do is sort of offer glamping weekends, isn't it?
Yeah.
We should offer, high-end tents, yurts, all the luxuries and fun of that, and then be based on the estate, looking out over a lake with a hill, and then there should be things like going for a run.
Start his 30
high
seconds again, Carl.
ropes, So yeah, no, I do aspire to trying to bring everything together under one umbrella a little bit more and offer more of a should we call it a Merlin pass, a season pass, the option to go and enjoy all the different things we have to offer.
Because the other thing with your course, like say you have 100 obstacles, but again, I'm start doing the selling job for you as well. You're very reasonably priced as well. You're not pulling people's pants down because you want people to enjoy it, great value for money, and then come back and back and
But
back.
they're my best sellers, absolutely. And you're right there. We were this year going to do something called Waterworld. So we've been busy building various slides and mimicking what we do here on the main obstacle course over the other side of the road where the bunker is, and so we can offer there, hour, 2-hour sessions of just having fun on the best obstacles, albeit them slightly tamer. So then that introduces people, and then you come back and do the races and do it for real.
Yeah, because many people might not notice the corporate side of things is quite busy as well, isn't it, in terms of corporate experience?
The corporates, that'll be the growth area in the future. Obviously, this year, we've gone from sort of spectacular highs the last couple of years to like rock bottom this year. But it will come back, and I think it will come back stronger. And certainly the corporates. Last year we did 400 group events, private events. It can be as small as birthday party to as big as charity races. We do it all here, and we did 400 of those in between all the other races, and that's again where it's important to have a sustainable business like that and multiple sources of income. It allows you to invest and most importantly, employ quality people that love their job and do a good job and inspire others, and then they just come back. It's self-fulfilling.
Yeah, because you have got quite a team behind you, and not just the employed ones like Penny and what have you. You've also got a team of sort of like angels behind you as well, the actual nuclear people. And obviously, Faye would never forgive me if I didn't mention that she's obviously the best orange squash girl that anyone could ever wish for, and just bits and pieces like that, because they are extremely loyal but extremely helpful. Like I don't know if you.
We couldn't do it without them, actually, and that is humbling how people do often start doing a few races and then want to give something back like that. It's very very
Humbling.
Yeah, they become nuclear
loyalty.
through and through. Yeah.
They just want to be there. We do. You do marshalling. On the big weekend, we'll employ 350, maybe even touching 400 people over that weekend, and they might run and they might marshal, and you say to them, well, which do you, sort of tongue in cheek, which did you prefer, the run or the marshalling? And they have to think about the answer. Okay, the run probably wins out, but they've had such a quality time and rewarding time helping others, get over obstacles, giving them a clap, and that's how it should be. It is. It's a we call it a nuclear family, and it really is. It's a community, and everyone helps each other. And until you do it, I don't think you get that. I don't think you do. And on that note as well, what I might say now as well, there's some, we've been going 10 years and people move on and it's a journey. And there are some there that say, it's not, the community isn't what it used to be. Everyone's, keyboard warrior and grumpy about this and bitching about that, and I can't be, doing with it. But from our side, I don't see that. Yes, they've moved on and, they'll go and do triathlons or whatever it is. But, then the new guys are coming up and they're just as keen. They're as keen as mustard and they want to be part of it and giving me, suggestions and obstacles and suggesting I do that and doing this and want to be there to help. And it's just a progression. So I think the community is personally as as strong as it's ever been. It just moves on. It's just different. It
depends who you surround yourself with.
Flow of life, isn't it? You can't expect someone to do something, for the rest of their life like that. They spend 5, 6, 7 years being passionate about it, and then they find something else, and that's fair enough. But there's others coming up, and there's loads of others.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show in your numbers, doesn't it? Like for you to be able to get that many in your returning visitors and new sort of racers all the time, then there's got to be some sort of throughput somewhere, aren't there? It's got to be big numbers somewhere, and you only have to hook a small percentage of those in.
You need numbers. You need it's also well and good this, but at the end of the day, you have to make money. You need numbers. Numbers are everything. You need to, and to get numbers, you've got to put on a good show because you need them to come back and you need them to tell their friends. Yeah.
Well, James, I know this probably isn't sort of your cup of tea and your Monday evening how you'd usually spend it, and you'd probably be in bed a long time before now, and so we really do appreciate you joining us this evening, and hopefully it's been sort of you've got something from it yourself, and you feel like it was worth all the...
I've loved it, actually. It's nice to just reflect and talk to you guys. And you're becoming famous now. You have so many... it's gone from strength to strength, hasn't it? You have so many... what's it called? Watchers or listeners?
Listeners, yeah. It really has grown. It's just a shame we're at the worst time ever in terms of sponsorship and what have you, because no one's got any money to be able to sponsor something that, even if it's growing or not, so it's sort of left us in a position.
Sounds like you know a load of farmers.
Well, we've got Virgin lined up to do it, to sponsor it.
Well, he's pulled back. He needs to. His island needs moving apparently. So
and Virgin Galactic's for sale as well, isn't it? You can get a cheap space ride.
That's it. So Branson's even pulled out. But anyway. It's but it is good, and hopefully it does you some good being able to sort of speak to people and a few more people that maybe haven't heard of you before. And
we're not that isolated here, Carl.
It's been great. People. Thank you. I do really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Hopefully we'll be able to speak to you again in the future and get a bit of an update once this sort of stormy weather that we're working our way through at the moment has sort of blown over a little bit, and we get a bit more of a idea of what the industry is going to look like a little bit further on down the line. And
tell Penny it's her turn next time.
I'd love to. Poor Penny's being picked on tonight.
She loves this sort of stuff.
You should try my sister Lucy or Damien, my right hand man Damien.
In fact, Damien. Yeah, we've not really mentioned Damien. He's definitely one of the worker bees in the
glue behind it. Yeah, no, he was. I was his best man many years ago, and it's about time I repaid the pleasure asking him to come on here and speak.
And he'd be more than welcome. Definitely more than welcome. Right, so James, thank you very much. And thank you everybody for listening in to this episode of the podcast. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you can get notified of new episodes that are coming up on whatever directory that you're listening to us at the moment. We've not really got any updates about anything else at the moment, Kevin, have we? It's not really, everything's gone quiet. We've sort of... We're
still waiting on Boris, really.
We've had to batten down the hatches a little bit in terms of Mud 7 and in terms of the magazine. We can't sell race ticket subscriptions when we don't know what races are going to be happening. So it's sort of made us, we've had to, I suppose we've had to turn into snails and retract into our shells a little bit, haven't we, to weather the storm. But either way, we're pretty positive that good times are just around the corner.
As long as everyone keeps following the advice.
Exactly.
Stay alert, on guard.
Yeah, exactly. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. So and Wales would soon kick you out anyway if you went going to try and climb Snowdon and what have you. So yeah, I think that's about it this evening. So thank you very much, gents. Thank you, James, and thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Carl.
And yeah, and
Thank you, boys.
Speak to you again. Cheers, gents.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.